They came with hopeful hearts to kick off the 2020 GNCC season, and everyone knew it was not going to be an easy task. Walker Fowler has been the dominant force once again, and try as they will, he remains on task. These are the days of a legend building his legacy for future stories to be told. The only question is, what's today's chapter hold? The Camp Coker Bullet GNCC is next.
Are you ready to go GNCC Racing?
Hello and welcome to GNCC on MAVTV. It's the Camp Coker Bullet from Society Hill, South Carolina. I'm Rodney Tomlin. Round number 5 as we roll through the 2020 Grand National Cross Country Championship season. And just a few weeks ago, we found our way back to the soils of Georgia. Those red clays, of course, played host to a 4th round of GNCC racing. And with that being said, the conditions were so much different at Aonia Pass, a lot drier and dustier than they were just the 8 weeks before when they were literally perfect race conditions. Though they may have been a little drier on the race day, sure didn't slow down the pace of our leaders as we saw Walker Fowler out front early on with Bryson Neal in second. The young Hunter Hart opening up with a 3rd place position on lap 1. Something happening though to Neal on lap number 2. He drops way back to 7th place, moving the young Hart into the number 2 position. And as this race day wore on, a rider that had started out in the 8th place position at the end of lap number 1, talking about the Cole train, Cole Richardson. Well, he was working his way up through the pack while Walker Fowler was working on win number 58 there in Georgia. So there you have it. It is the number 7 of Hunter Hart in second. It looked like this was going to be where he finished. He rode there consistently all day long, but the Cole train came a-rolling, and he got by the number 7 machine, taking that 2nd place position. And of course, his 3rd podium of the season as Hunter Hart takes his 1st podium of 2020 with a 3rd place position finish. Bryson Neal was able to pull off a 4th place position in the end, and John Glotta Jr., the rookie, got 5th.
Yeah, absolutely, Rodney. It was a blast. Got off to a great start. I knew today with this dust and the competition had to be weeks to get more prepared. That they were going to be coming after me, and I feel like I've done my part to stay just one step ahead yet again. Got off to a great start. Got Moto Experts motor fired up by the anti-gravity battery kit. And that Yamaha, it just pulled like the son of a gun all the way to that first corner. And then I knew if I could just be smart and smooth, get in the woods, make some dust, we were going to be golden. And we did our part in the beginning to get that thing a gap to make mistakes and still get it to the finish line. So overall, a great day.
Well, a great day a few weeks ago in Georgia. Can he make it a great day here in South Carolina? 2 hours of racing through a mix of sand and clay. 12.5-mile race course is what these riders are faced with. It's dry, it's dusty again. This sand is deep and it's getting rough. If earlier racing is any indication as we roll into that first turn, and here's something new. It is the Cole train. Cole Richardson grabbing the early lead in this one. And look at that. Josh Merritt, the number 11, opening up in a 2nd place position as we and tough break there for Merritt as he'll drop back about mid-pack, but the best start we've seen out of the number 11 so far this season. And look at this already, a change up front as Walker Fowler is trying to jockey himself for position. That's Johnny Gallagher up front, the 26-year veteran of the XC1 Pro class in the early lead of this one. And man, I know there's a lot of Gallagher fans that's got to be pretty pumped up about that one, but a lot of folks wondering what happened to this guy. Cole Richardson all the way back at the back of the pack. That's a place that he's not real happy about being in, especially after taking the early lead in that one. That one really jumbling things up. Let's see what happens out here. Drew Lander's been the man to beat. Now, Austin Abney was able to do it a few weeks ago, and it looks like as we start things out here today, Abney, Brandon Owens, and Drew Landers are all looking at taking a piece of that first place pie, but we've got 2 hours of racing to try to get it all sorted out. And speaking of sorting it all out in, Walker Fowler up front, there was Adam McGill in the number 2 position as we kick things open there. There's the third place ride. I believe that was Johnny Gallagher choosing one of those option lines. And if you're not familiar with GNCC racing, you see the lines are going in different areas. Well, the thing is, we go out through the woods, we put an arrow up, and you've got 25 feet on either side of that arrow in order to find the fastest line through. That's how the GNCC trails are made, and that's why they change so much throughout the course of the day. How's this one going to change? Stick around to find out. GNCC continues on MAVTV right after this. Coverage of the 2020 Grand National Cross Country Series on MAVTV is brought to you in part by Specialized Turbo E-Bikes. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready. And by Yamaha. Revs your heart. Back at Camp Coker, Society Hill, South Carolina, where Walker Fowler continues to lead the XC1 Pro Class in the overall in this 5th round of the GNCC Championship season, and already starting to open up quite a bit of a lead, it looks like. Adam McGill still holding on to a 2nd place position. I got to say, this is one of the stronger runs we've seen out of him so far this season. Not that we didn't think that Adam had it in him, but we didn't know what the sandy conditions were going to bring for Adam. But look at this. Already he and Walker are starting to amass a monumental lead over that 3rd place position, and as they do that, that only means it could bode better and better for the number 521 as the day wears on. But this guy right here, Bryson Neal, is going to be one that can bridge gaps. So can the Sneaky Snake, or the Cobra as we know him, Jared McClure out there. So with that gap, it doesn't mean that it's a safe gap for the number 521 as we roll through this first lap of racing. And already as we near the completion of this first lap, things are starting to open up between 1st and 2nd. Let's see what that gap back to the 3rd and 4th place positions are like. That's starting to tighten up a little bit. It is tightening up a little bit, and we've got a freight train of riders now starting to make their way in, and it's not just the 2 that we were looking at there a few moments ago, so this could get very exciting. But the big question remains, how deep will these sands get out there? You can see how deep those ruts are. I remember I said it's deep and it's rough, and that's going to be a separator because that could cause some riders to get stuck out there. And that's a good thing, and the beauty about having all these option lines for these riders is the fact that they can choose different lines. The only thing is, the undergrowth is kind of thick out here, so it's kind of tight. If you get off the main trail, there's no telling what you're going to get yourself into. Walker Fowler seeming to be doing okay on that main trail, and quite well actually, as he's opened up an even bigger lead over the 521 of Adam McGill. But McGill still holding steady in that position. How far back are we looking to the 3rd place position now? Start counting back, we're looking at, wow, somewhere in the neighborhood, we've got to be at least 15, maybe pushing 20 seconds, about 15 seconds now, back to the 3rd place position ride, the number 2 of Bryson Neal. So Neal has still got Jared McClure back there in that 4th place position as well. And again, you know, we saw those riders starting to what looked like freight train out there, but they're starting to stretch out away from the rest of the field too. Here's the old Camp Coker motocross track. If you're familiar with motocross and things of that nature, Camp Coker probably rings a bell for you. And this section of track, though it has a few trees on it, may actually ring a bell for you also. This track has grown over, and now some of it's still open, and obviously the jumps are still there, and that's what the GNCC are racing on. It's a very historic motocross track that we saw a lot of the amateur riders cut their teeth on, heading to Loretta Lynn's and eventually to very prosperous professional careers. Now today, this facility is more known and recognized as a sportsman preserve with a lot of hunting and things like that, but don't be surprised if you see it come back to life. Look at that mud out here in some of these conditions, and Walker Fowler stopping to let somebody know something. I don't know exactly what that was, but here comes the 521, the Gator, Adam McGill. He shouldn't have too many issues or problems getting through this section of racetrack either. And again, you know, you can see where the course is in the low-lying area. There has been rain. We did get rain leading into this weekend, but it wasn't very much, and it wasn't a whole lot to actually absorb into most of the soils. But the low-lying areas, obviously, you can see has absorbed that, and the clay is starting to hold it. And we do see some muddy conditions out there. Walker Fowler continuing to amass the lead here on lap number 2 as Adam McGill still back in that number 2 position. And not that this is unfamiliar territory for Adam McGill, but obviously we haven't seen him up here a whole lot in recent races. So this is kind of exciting if you happen to be a McGill fan. And believe me, there are a lot of those out in the sands of South Carolina as well as the mountains of West Virginia. There's Bryson Neal still holding steady in the number 3 position, and the sneaky snake back there ready to strike at any given time to earn that nickname, the Cobra, that he has as well. The big question right now, is anyone going to stop Walker Fowler in his tracks? Can he get win number 59? Stick around to find out. GNCC continues after this. Welcome back to GNCC on MAVTV. Rodney Tomlin along with you as we pick the action up here at the Camp Coker Bull at GNCC, and Walker Fowler continues to lead as we roll into lap number 3 here in Society Hill, South Carolina, the Maurice Sportsman Preserve, an area where you can come and go hunting, lots of different things. You can also target shoot, and you can also watch great GNCC racing like this right here and find out whether or not Adam McGill is going to be able to take a podium position finish here. It sure looks like it. He's riding a really strong race, keeping a good steady pace out ahead of third place rider, the number 2 of Bryson Neal. The only thing is for Adam McGill is how quickly Bryson Neal can strike, and when he's got someone like Jared McClure behind him in that 4th place position, you know that as this race wears on, it's only going to get more intense as they try to push themselves forward, not only for that 2nd place position, but I'm sure they got their sights and their hearts set on possibly catching Walker Fowler. A little option line changing going on there. As you can see, the main line burn in, but there might be a reason. Obviously, it's starting to get deep out there. It's starting to get slick, so riders are having to choose different lines. Walker Fowler seems to have ultimate choice of all the lines. No one knows what lines he's picking, and that's the way he likes to race. And you can see even Walker Fowler getting into some of that deep stuff out there, and this track is really starting to show its race face as this race day wears on. Remember, we said it was going to get deep as the race wore on, and look here, we see we might have a new, and we do have a new 2nd place position. Bryson Neal up to 2nd as he's gotten around Adam McGill. Now the big question is, where is McClure in this juncture of the race, as that gap again really opening up there between that 1st and 2nd place position. 1 minute and 2 seconds is what we're looking at here on lap number 3, and that's one of the bigger leads that we've seen at this point in the race for Walker Fowler. Now, one thing to point out, this is going to be a 5-lap race. These laps are a little bit shorter and obviously going a little bit faster than what we expected, even with the course being 12.5 miles long, and even with it being as strenuous to get through in some sections. These riders are manipulating and traversing these trails without much issue, as they are having to search for separate and new lines out there just to try to get around this race course. And one thing about it is, anyone would love to see how Walker Fowler is finding those fast lines out there. And you can see he just seems to be so effortless. And the one thing about it is, he's got a little different style of riding when no one's around him than there is whenever someone is there. He's got different lines that he picks and chooses out there. As we check back to the 3rd place position, the Gator, Adam McGill, holding steady back there as he's trying to keep that pace with the number 2 of Bryson Neal, who I'm sure is pretty upset with himself right now, knowing that he didn't keep pace with Walker Fowler, and Fowler now stretching out near a 1 minute and 30-second lead over the rest of the field as we charge through the midway part of this race. And Fowler just continues to amass a bigger and bigger lead as this this track deteriorates more and more. It's only going to make it more and more difficult for riders to close the gap on Fowler to challenge. So it looks like basically it's his race to lose at this point, and that's win 59, as he is in search, obviously, of the magical number of 75 to take away from Chris Borch, who's been running back in the 5th place position pretty much all day long here today at Camp Coker. The thing is, that's not the issue that Fowler's got to worry about. What he's got to worry about is himself and some of these young guns that are trying to dethrone him. To date, no one is within striking distance, at least at the moment. Will they catch him on this final lap? Stick around to find out. GNCC continues after this. Coverage of the 2020 Grand National Cross Country Series on MAVTV is brought to you in part by Specialized Turbo E-Bikes. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATV MC, get ready. And by Yamaha, revs your heart. Welcome back to Society Hill, South Carolina, the Marie Sportsman Preserve, a.k.a. Camp Coker. And this Camp Coker GNCC as Walker Fowler continues to amass a monumental lead here. 1 minute and 27 seconds after 3 laps of racing, 1 minute 45 after 4 laps of racing, and we are approaching nearly 2 minutes as we roll through this final lap of racing. It is still the number 2 of Bryson Neal in second, and Adam McGill back in that number 3 position, all laying chase to Walker Fowler. Now, it looks like unless something happens to Walker Fowler out here, we're not going to see any changes in that department. The big question is, will Bryson Neal be able to maintain this second place position? Because you know he's trying to push. He doesn't want to give Walker Fowler that edge and let him know how much faster he is than the rest of the field by winning by a margin of over 2 minutes. I mean, it's bad enough. These guys, I'm sure, are thinking as they see nearly 2 minutes, but if it's going to be an entire 2 minutes, that's going to give Walker Fowler an edge that he is looking for, and these guys do not want to give that to him. We know that Bryson Neal is not going to let that happen if he can help it at all here today, as he's staying within that 2 minute margin, but not by much. McGill still back there in that number 3 position, and one of the most impressive rides we've seen him put together in a couple of seasons so far here in GNCC racing. So the old Gator still got it, even in the sands of Society Hill, South Carolina. There's Jared McClure back in that 4th place position, and for Adam McGill, the sneaky snake is lurking in those tall grass and weeds. And back up front, Walker Fowler is making his way through the final turns here at Society Hill and this Marie Sportsman Preserve for this Camp Coker Bull at GNCC. He's going to take the shot today, and it's going to be a bullseye, basically a wire-to-wire run for your defending GNCC champion as he shakes that fist in the air. It's win number 59 as he crosses the line and begins to celebrate another historic win here in GNCC racing.
Got off to a not so good start today. Usually the starts are my strong point, but ended up going into the woods 10th or 11th and knew I had my work cut out for me, but unpredictable conditions and the trail just had a million lines, so I didn't really panic, and I knew that the guys that I'm racing for in points were right ahead of me, so I just tried to kind of gauge off of them and maybe let them get stuck. And sure enough, first couple miles were just mayhem. I know Cole Richardson, I saw him stuck pretty good. I saw Jared McClure stuck real bad, and I saw Johnny Gallagher up front, and I was like, man, this is reminiscent of a normal rut mud race. We got the gatekeeper of XC1 up front. So I did everything I could, took the best lines I could. I decided to run small tires, a standard 21-20 combo, and it was honestly the right choice after the first lap. First lap was crazy. I got to the lead by the 7-mile marker, and then I just put the hammer down. Just tried to ride smart. Adam McGill latched onto me, the Gator, for about 2 laps. And like I said, I just rode smart, rode smooth, rode consistent. I tried to keep the machine out of trouble, brought it home from our 5th win, and it feels awesome, man.
Well, there you go. Win number 5 of the 2020 season and win 59 of his racing career. Next time he goes out, he'll be looking for win number 60, believe it or not. Fowler taking win, Neal in second. McGill in the number 3 spot with McClure and Borich rounding out the top 5. And here is Bryson Neal nearly 2 minutes later. Let's see if he can beat that 2-minute gap. It's clicking away. It's in the 150 range right now. And as we cross the finish line stripe, 1 minute 54 seconds behind Walker Fowler is what Bryson Neal's going to finish this one up at. Nearly 2-minute time frame, and you know that's going to weigh heavy on a lot of folks' hearts out there, especially Bryson Neal letting that happen. We see that Adam McGill takes the 3rd place position finish, and here comes the 4th place ride of the Sneaky Snake. Oh, he nearly catching up to Adam McGill. Now see, there's some of those deep ruts. They're side by side as they battle it out right to the line, and Adam McGill, oh, he gets gets bumped by, who's going to get this one? No, oh, wow. That's how crazy that finish was. Adam McGill getting bumped, getting stuck right there at the end.
Yeah, we had a good start. I think we was fourth in the first turn, and the tires done great. The over tires pulled hard right off the line. The Rage motor pulled them big old 22s right off the line, and I think we got past about 2 turns in because there was a big lake coming in around turn 3, and we was able to get back up into 4th when we hit the woods, and ended up making a couple good lines. Got up into 2nd, got up in behind the leader, and run with him for most of the first lap, and ended up I just couldn't keep pace in the fields. Just the big tires were just, there's a lot to hang on to. You're late night. You got to take what you can get, man. So we was running a second for a while, and just track started deteriorating, and essentially fell back. We pitted early, ended up getting passed, and passed back. Ended up having to switch goggles, things like that, and at the end of the race, I just drank all the Renegade fuel out of that big old IMS tank, and luckily we was able to run it on vapors all the way to the finish. Jared hit me in the butt and got a bump started again, and when he did, it was enough to push me through to finish and end up third. It's been a long time since we've been here, but I can tell you that I'm ready for a big old tall glass of Crown and some sushi with the wife and the puppies. I'll be home soon, baby.
Adam McGill running out of gas at the end. I thought he got stuck there, but how about it for Jared McClure pushing him basically across the finish line? It was Cole Richardson, though, getting the early lead in this one, and a good start for the number 11 of Josh Merritt, but he was all Walker Fowler, basically. Now, I don't want to call it wire to wire, but it was almost another wire to wire run for the number 1 machine, but took him a little while to get out front, but once he did, he really amassed a huge lead. We were looking at nearly a minute at the end of the first lap, about a minute and 15 seconds, then a minute 27, a minute 45, and at the end, a minute and 54 seconds back to that second place position. The big question right now is anyone going to be able to stop Walker Fowler? I know these riders have got a few weeks to go home and think about it a little bit. Meanwhile, back there in the back of the, behind Walker Fowler anyway, don't want to say the back of the pack. It may have seemed like the back of the pack for some of those riders, though, but it was really a battle for second place early on there. The number 2 of Bryson Neal, though, getting around the gator, taking that second place position, and like we said there at the very, very end, that third place position, really exciting as far as Adam McGill running out of gas, and it looked like that McClure was going to make the pass, and then he gets shut off, and then he tries to go around. That wasn't a gimme there. That was an accident, and regardless, Adam McGill gets the third place position finish here today. Well, that's going to wrap things up for us here, and just remember, that's only 5 of 13 rounds of racing. There's a whole lot more to go. For all of us here at RacerTV on the MAVTV, I'm Rodney Tomlin. Have a great day.